wake up.
Wake up, Africa, your time has come. Open up your eyes and see the sun. Open up your spirit.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Hey family, what's up? Yesterday we got the amazing opportunity to interview Claude Anderson, and he had a lot to say about the situation and the state of African people, both on the continent and in the diaspora, and a lot of brilliant ideas of how we can be brought together. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. I'm reporting for you from Long Beach. Actually, I'm near the Long Beach airport. And, it's been an absolutely amazing first few days in the U.S. We participated in the Black Consciousness Conference. That's how we met Dr. Claude Anderson. And he was talking very simply about the 5 steps, and you'll hear him later on, where he talks about the 5 steps that we need to take to, to bring our people together and to create a powerful nation. Because he said, for so long, African people are dealing, and when I say African people, it's Black people across the world are dealing with horizontal issues. I loved this. And, the horizontal issues are things like, I'm Kikuyu, you're Luo, what tribe are you? What religion are you? Those are horizontal issues. But the vertical issues are the ones that, that control, they're the pillars of our culture, and they're the pillars of nations. And he explained really well about how, as Africans, we're missing on the vertical, and the vertical is economic power, media, the 7, he almost looked at it like the 7 mountains of culture that kind of control how society goes. And so we got to get our money right. We got to get our, politicians that have our dream in the right place, support them, both on the continent and in the diaspora. We got to support media and start getting, putting more voices out there that speak our truth. We got to start changing up the education and what we're teaching our children, because they are really the only future we have. And we must come together and put this skin tone first. So take a listen to this interview. It was absolutely just such an honor and a privilege to get to spend about 15 minutes with him. Well, that's what we recorded, but he had a lot more to say behind the scenes, which I will be getting into. Trust me. But, this is what he had to say. And I really encourage you to check out his website, powernomics.com, and buy his books. He has 4 amazing books, which basically, like Powernomics exactly explains word for word, strategy for strategy, how we can create the Black national racism. And you know what? I loved what he says at the end. Be as Black as you want to be. Mwah.
Wake up, Africa.
Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and welcome to the United States.
Yeah, thanks.
And enjoy yourself before you go back to Kenya.
Yeah, I definitely will. I think the first question I want to ask you is, what is the condition of Black people globally? How would you say it in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, they're on the bottom. They're right now the lowest thing they can get on earth. You got to, right now, collectively on earth, Black folk do not own and control anything in greater proportion than 1/2 or 1% of the wealth, power, and resources in the world. You got collectively, Black folks should have about 24% of the world's population. But you can never acquire and hold on to and exercise more than 1/2 or 1%, which means you're going to perish. That's what it means. Africa now is the richest continent on the earth. But when you all talk about global awakening, what you're talking about in America, we call that gentrification and privatization, which means that's not a positive for Black folk to have an awakening when all of a sudden people come in and take over your resources and privatize into the hands of the dominant white society, dominant Europeans, and now it's going to be dominant Chinese and Japanese, going to take you all over. And the Arabs have been after you all ever since about 765 AD, when they marched into Africa talking about they're coming to Africa to wake African up in the search of what they call the 3 Gs, God, glory, and gold. They've been pursuing you all now since 765. They were the ones who were the first original enslavers on the earth for Black folk, were the Arabs. And they're still enslaving you all in Ethiopia, Mauritania, and Sudan, selling you all for $150 a piece.
Yeah.
So that's a terrible awakening. So I don't know what awakening means. Have you been asleep all that time? Because when they come back, they're going to gentrify you, and they're going to privatize every damn thing in Africa.
So, wow, okay, that's really heavy. So where do we as an African people go wrong in terms of you know, in terms of empowering ourselves and in terms of, yeah.
Well, you went wrong in Africa for the same way blacks went wrong in America. You keep getting engaging in horizontal issues, things that are immaterial, unnecessary, irrelevant, and wheel spinning.
Yeah.
You're engaging in minutia. See, by focusing on things that should be totally irrelevant, like what tribe you belong to, what language you belong to, what ethnic group you're in, that's a waste of time. That is horizontal. You should have been staying strictly vertical, based on skin color, from the top to the bottom, in everything in power, wealth, and politics, strictly based on your skin color. It's to be an empowered group, you must always gravitate and migrate to your greatest characteristic. Your greatest characteristic in Africa, among all your different nations over there, or countries over there, is your skin color.
Yeah.
That should be the most important thing you should be gravitating to. Why you mess around talking about what tribe somebody belongs to, or what ethnicity, or what language they speak? Forget that crap, or what religion they belong to. When the Arabs took you all over, they started mandating that you all started practicing Islam.
Yes.
And that's a negative for you. Islam was the first one to start enslaving you. Islam, the Arabs have been enslaving black folk now for 1,300 years. They've been enslaving 1 million blacks in Africa every year, every 100 years. They've enslaved 13 million of you.
Yeah.
Why are you messing around with Islam?
That's true. And there is also like what's happening in Libya, where now there's, you know, there's like a reignition or whatever of a huge slave trade of young people who are trying to get to Europe.
That's right. See, they're enslaving you again. And at what point do you wake up and smell the coffee and say, my greatest responsibility is to my own people?
Yeah.
And quit allowing puppets or flake or front black folk get put in office that are selling you out for their own personal gain. We have them in America. We had them, went back in history, we called some of them Sam Boas and Uncle Toms.
Yeah.
They would get in political position and sell you out. You all still letting it going on in Africa.
So, I mean, it's just, you're keeping it so real, it's kind of depressing. But next year is like the 400th mark of, you know, the end of slavery. A lot of people have been saying prophetically that it's the time for African Americans to, you know, come back to the African continent. It's time for us to globally unify. What are your thoughts on this?
I'll be perfectly candid with it. I got a lot of my friends that are extremely Afrocentric. But you're going the wrong way. You're trying to run up a one-way street. If you're going to acquire any power, any input in a global market, you got to identify first with America. And your key element would be engendering the power and wealth into a black, native black overclass in this country that would serve in the same respect that Jews serve right now around the world.
Yeah.
What happened to Jews around the world is dictated by the Jews in America. Because in America, the Jews got about 1/2% of the population. But they've been able to manage to control major industries like the diamond industry, gold industry, book industry, movie industry, legal industry, printing industry. It's controlled by Jews, even though they're 1/2% of the population.
Wow.
And see, here you are with 24% of the population worldwide, and in America, you're 13%. You control nothing.
Yeah.
Because the Jews stick together. They make sure everything that comes up that has any potential for profits and well-being and quality of life, they build it around the Jewish religion. Because see, basically Jews are whites.
Yeah.
They're Khazarians. And the original Jews were really blacks coming out of Ethiopia.
Absolutely, yes.
But black folk let them run them out of Africa, run them out of the Middle East, run them out past Kenya, down into Africa. Then the Khazarians. The Khazarians are a mixture of Mongoloids, Russians, and Polish.
Yeah.
And they're Khazarians. They came in and took over your religion in about 700 to 800 AD. And when I'm trying to think, when the prime minister, I can't think of his name now, he asked 6 black rabbis to come up to that area between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea and teach the Khazarians a new religion.
Yes.
And they brought the Jewish religion up. They not the Jewish religion. They brought the Hebrew scriptures and all up there and introduced it to the Jews, and Jews took it over. So by the 1100s, the Jews had taken over the Jewish religion and left blacks out there hanging. They said they were now the new chosen people because they had pushed black folk out.
So, it's just so amazing that you're saying that, because that is one of the things that, you know, a lot of us are awakening to, that we are, you know, the true Hebrews.
You're the true Hebrews. So why you over there practicing Islam then?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, also we practice the Christianity with the, you know, white Jesus, etc. But what do you think of the whole Hebrew movement and also, returning to our identity and kind of awakening to who we really are?
That would make more sense than what you're doing now. And see, see, as a matter of fact, what's the guy named? He was a great African leader back in the 1200s. What's it, Mumba?
Yeah.
And then he got this negative idea about he wants to get into international trade and globalism, and he's going to try to conduct trade relationships with the Arabs up in the Middle East. And what did he do? He then started making trips up into the Middle East, throwing gold and silver all along the road to prove to people how much wealth and power there was in Africa.
Yeah.
And the people said, darn, they got that much money and they just throwing it away on the road because they're indulging in conspicuous consumption and throwing away stuff. And so that attracted the Arabs into Africa. They came in there in the 1200s and took over Timbuktu. And then when they took it over, they said, now every people with black skin, you got to start learning how to speak, how to practice Islam. You got to make sure that the highest level people in your nation must also practice religious principles based on Islam.
Yeah. And
all these kind of things, and change your name to Arab names, and the blacks went along with it.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And I don't see very much difference between that and what happened about 2 or 3 years ago down in South Africa, where then you put blacks in black Congress come up with a new constitution. And guess what the Constitution says? They built a new constitution, and in that constitution, they put a provision of an affirmative action plan in their constitution for South Africa.
Yeah.
Guess who it's for? Chinese, not for blacks.
Yeah.
So that Chinese can come into South Africa and be engaged in an affirmative action program, getting preferential treatment for jobs, opportunities, but yet at the same time it's stipulated that native blacks can't get it, can't be involved. Now here you're in South Africa when you got about 29 million blacks and about 2.5 million non-blacks, and one white family alone in South Africa controls over 50% of the wealth.
Yeah, that's true.
And you keep bringing in whites, giving them all the wealth and resources. The issue in Africa should be resources, and don't be talking about no rights and privilege. You start talking about owning and control of resources. And now here's a solution to you, because my time is running out with you.
Yeah.
What you should be doing is going after resources and power. That's the issue. Now, to get resource and power, you can't do it just singly based on Africa. Because to build wealth and power, it's like a 4-leg table. It's a 4-leg stool. You got to have 4 legs to be empowered. One leg, you have to be controlled. You got to have land and resources. You have to have wealth, some money. You're going to have political clout. You're going to have skills.
Yeah.
And see, in Africa, you all don't have those things. What you did have in Africa was the resources. You had that. But now that these other people, the Europeans and China, take that away from you. But the other 3 legs of that stool you needed, or leg of that table, was like the political clout and the skills and the wealth is in the black people in America. And so if you can make that a 4-leg table by have these blacks in Africa that got the resources and bring them to America. I tried to do that back in 1978 with Maynard Jackson. We built the international airport in Atlanta. I tried to do a reverse investment trade program. I was going to have a trade fair. You all need to get together, have an international trade fair in America. And have all the Africans over there, and particularly the black industrialists, African industrialists that got control of resources. You all set up bring it to the United States, have a big major a conference, where call it a mix and match conference. And then when you bring all the best black minds in America in business, the best black minds in politics, best black minds in capital. And they meet with you all when you bring your resources. You all have tents set up and sit there and say, we're going to mix and match. You build some major international corporations where you all become partners based on them having the skills, the capital, and the contacts, and you all having the resources. Then you become a power base. You become a team.
Yeah, that's really powerful.
If you don't do that, you're wasting your time. Black folk in America need to quit since I'm going back to Africa.
Yeah.
I'm going to Africa and set up, I'm going to build me a hotel. I'm going to go back there and build me a restaurant in Africa. The same Negroes cannot even build a hotel and a restaurant in the United States.
Yeah.
And when I went over trade missions in Nigeria as an example, there's one black, he'd gone in there trying to set up a record company over there. And he had sold a lot of records, but come to find out he couldn't get the records out because they nationalized him, took it away from him. And at Pan Am, they came to see me. Pan Am, they had $1 million worth of profits. They couldn't get it out. And Johnson & Johnson's cosmetics was trying to set up a big business in Nigeria for cosmetic for black women. They got wiped out. because they didn't have this combination, what I'm telling you.
The partnership.
They didn't have the partnership. They were doing it in reverse. They're going to try to go there and exploit and be just like European whites going to Africa.
Yeah, the colonialists kind
That's
of,
right.
like a neo-colonialist.
That's right. They're going to try to practice black. They had invited blacks to come to Africa and practice neo-colonialism and try to set up businesses. You're doing it wrong. You got to set up major. You got to take Atlanta, Georgia, or some big city, rent 10 blocks, and fill the blocks up with black folk who are interested in invitational based on the skills and the tools necessary that you have to have a major international team. That's the way you do it.
Okay, I know we've run. I thank you so much for coming for this interview. My final question is, with all these ideas, we have an enemy. And the enemy has always worked very hard to keep us divided, always taken out our revolutionaries and stuff. So with everything you're saying, how do we do that? How do we overcome, the enemy of our unity, of our global unity and our, continental unity?
Well, any group that's divided is already whipped. What you have to do, and again, you must gravitate to that which is most general and your major characteristic, which is your skin color, point one. Point two is you never engage. If you're looking for power and wealth and resources, never engage in horizontal issues. Horizontal issues, I mean things like anything that goes like this, horizontal.
Yeah.
And see if it's horizontal, it can go around the globe, it come all the way back around again, it keeps going. You're not achieving anything. And horizontal issues are anything like religion. That's a horizontal issue.
Yeah.
Politics, horizontal issue. Political party, whether it's a Democrat, Republic, that's a horizontal issue. Gender issues, horizontal issue. Bisexual, transsexual, gays, those are horizontal issues. Our religion, horizontal issues. What you all should say is that our primary characteristic should be vertical. Everything on this earth that has power is vertical, not horizontal. If it's horizontal, only a few blacks would profit from it. They'll only profit where the two cross. Stay vertical. And like in topography, right now, on the earth, the mountain is high. That's the greatest power, mountain. The valley is low, that's vertical. In religion, the same thing. God on high, the devil below for power, okay? God is supposed to be more powerful than the devil below. And anything, and money in this country. Wealthy people at the top. That's why you got all these billionaires, poor people at the bottom. And they tell you, well, we're gonna have a trickle down. Whatever can roll down, you all can have it. Never get engaged in vertical issues when you're planning on talking about surviving and getting power.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
That was so amazing.
and good luck to you in Kenya. And I love you, and you stay as black as you want to be.
Oh, amen. Thank you so much. And we just hope that this global unity will happen in our lifetime.
But that's right. And remember, in conclusion, what I said to you last night, blackness is power. And you're the third rail on the earth. Third rail is where the power is, like a railroad track. They have that wire, that thing. They're scared of that power. That's why they put a shield around it, or wood, to protect it. And see, in the universe, you know what the most powerful thing in the universe is? Black matter. Black matter. That's right. A black hole in outer space is 20 million times more powerful than the sun. Wow. It'll suck the sun and destroy the sun. Do you know what the strongest thing on the earth was called? Black matter. And if you go get a children's crayon box, guess which crayon in there is the most powerful crayon? The black one. The black one. Color over everything. It'll wipe everything else out. If the fruits and vegetables on earth, guess which is the most powerful? The dark fruits and vegetables. Okay. And in the conclusion, guess what's the most powerful thing in America? And that's why the whites came up with it, called it one drop of blood rule. You know what that meant? They said that the Jim Crow, was that the one? No, they said black blood is so powerful. If you got one drop of black blood, it'll make you black. But that's so true, though. That's right, and you can put in 50 gallons of white blood, but it can't overcome that one drop of black blood. Blackness is power. And so if you all in Africa start understanding that and quit playing games and messing around talking about what language you speak, what tribe you belong to, what ethnic group you're in, you're playing games over there. And if you keep playing games, then all the blacks on earth are going to get eliminated off the earth. As a matter of fact, most of the things I'm talking about, they're available to you on the book packs that were sold by the Powernomics Corporation here in America. I have 5 books on the market that take you through about 200 years of history at about 200 miles an hour, get you to understand these issues. You got one called Black Labor, White Wealth that shows you every trick, technique, law, public policy that we use to subordinate black folk in this country and around the world. 2, you got the Powernomics plan, which says here's what you got to do if you're going to try to beat this game. That white racism, whether it's in Europe or in America and Africa, is not perfect. You can beat it if you understand how to play it. That's called a Powernomics, the national plan. The third and fourth book are called Dirty Little Secrets. They show you that nothing has happened on this earth that black people were not directly or indirectly did not cause. That they are very special and unique people, called Dirty Little Secrets, about black history and black heroes and other troublemakers. And the last book right now, which is the most popular book in America, is called The Black History Reader. 101 questions that you never thought to ask about black folk. They need to get those books as fast as they can and start reading them, because those books are going to be the key to their surviving in this nation and on the earth. And they can get those books by going to www.powernomics.com and order them. And right now they got a special. You can get all 5 of those books plus a DVD on how to educate black kids. You can get all 5 of them for $99 and order them. And if you can't get them that way, you can always call the Powernomics Corporation here in America. Call 301-564-6075. You can order directly from the headquarters. But it's absolutely essential that you get those books into your hands or get them into your libraries or into your schools. If those books are not in your schools and not into your library, then you don't have a library and you don't have schools.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow. Dr. Anderson has kept it so real. Like, there's nothing else to add. I usually try and sugarcoat my messages, but this has been so real. I pray that it blessed you. And you know what? Yeah, we got to stop talking and start doing stuff. The formula exists. Just digest what he said. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You tell them when you get to ECOWAS, get rid of all those boundaries that set up these different countries.
Yes.
Y'all come together as a team. Get rid of those boundaries they set up in the Berlin Conference in 1886.
Yes.
It says this is Nigeria, this is Ghana, this is Cameroon. Forget that crap. Come together and say, we are black, we're a team, okay?
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna come in and take everything from us and dominate us. And if you're getting these flunkies or puppets in government, you better break out to running, because we're coming after you.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Peace, family.
Wake up, Africa, your time has come. Open up your eyes and see the sun. Open up your spirit.